So much going on. Let's bring in now somebody very close to the action. Liberal MP Trent Zimmerman, representing the seat of North Sydney, a key supporter of the Prime Minister. Trent Zimmerman, good morning to you.
Good morning, Michael, and thanks for bringing us to this tropical courtyard.
Yes, rather tropical not. But gee, chilly inside the Liberal Party room, even more so this morning. Where do things sit in your view? Will there be another Liberal leadership spill today?
Well, I can't say for sure, but the important thing is that we had a vote on Tuesday. The result of that vote was decisive, and I think all Australians now want us to move on and get out of this bubble that we're in and be focusing on the issues that are important to them.
Is it your understanding that Peter Dutton supporters have anywhere near those 43 signatures?
Well, I haven't seen the petition. I don't know who's signed it, but it's interesting that obviously it hasn't been provided to the Whip or the Prime Minister. But I'm not aware of anyone who's changed their views since Tuesday's party meeting.
OK, so based on that, based on those numbers, if there was a meeting today, it's your view that the Prime Minister would once again prevail?
Yeah, I'm confident that's the case. And since Tuesday, we've obviously also seen strong declarations of support from some of those Cabinet Ministers that voted for Peter Dutton on Tuesday.
Where is this leaving the Liberal Party in the broader sense? Are you worried about the long-term impact this is going to have on your party?
Well, I think that most Australians are saying what the heck is going on because we've got a government that's been performing well. We had a budget in May that was widely received, popularly received. We're competitive in the polls. So voters in my electorate are saying, why is all of this happening? Now, it's obviously been disappointing and distracting, but I do think that we can move on and get back to what is our main job, and that's representing the people of Australia.
Why don't you believe Peter Dutton would be a good Prime Minister?
Because I think we've got an excellent Prime Minister at the moment, and as I said, we've got a Prime Minister who is delivering the economic policies that's providing that momentum, delivered a budget providing the essential services that Australians want, has been a great leader on the world stage, and I think particularly in the current climate, negotiating the administration in Washington has been shown his adeptness at that international role as well.
Well, you heard our breaking news this hour that Kevin Hogan, your coalition colleague, a National MP in northern New South Wales, has this morning confirmed that if Peter Dutton wins the top job, he will leave the government. So would there, in your view, based on that, be the real possibility of Peter Dutton, if he wins today, if there is a meeting today, not controlling the confidence of the House?
Well, I don't know that we'd get to that point, but I think what Kevin is expressing is the frustration that so many residents in my own electorate are conveying to me, and that's that why on earth are we focusing, after we had the vote on Tuesday, on these issues and not getting on with the job that we're elected to do.
What's your view of the role Tony Abbott is playing in all of this?
Well, I don't think it would be described as a constructive one. And look, to be frank, I think that the foundation for a leadership challenge that's based on bitterness and a desire for revenge is not the type of foundation that Australians want to see.
So that's all he's about in your view? Just revenge for being rolled by Malcolm Turnbull 3 years ago?
I think it's hard not to draw that conclusion.
Right, so have you got any advice for him? I'm sure he's watching.
Well, my predecessor in North Sydney, Joe Hockey, resigned from Parliament, and at the time he said that one of the reasons was because if he stayed, he knew that he could be consumed by bitterness. I think Joe Hockey did the right thing back then, and it's a salutary lesson for others.
So Tony Abbott should quit?
Well, I think he should look at whether he can constructively play a role in the Parliament. He does have a lot of support in the community. I would prefer him to be in the team playing a constructive role, but that's really up to him.
Let's go to the warring camps in the Liberal Party, the moderates, of which you're a member, and the Conservative wing that Peter Dutton is largely representing. In that camp is Senator Concetta Fierravanti-Wells, who tendered her resignation as Minister for International Development. That scathing letter attacking the Prime Minister. And one of those points, I want to bring you on this because you have a particular interest as being an openly gay member of federal Parliament. She accused the Liberal Party of deserting its Conservative base by pushing for same-sex marriage. How do you respond to claims like that?
Well, I find that just quite extraordinary because what happened last year was that Malcolm Turnbull delivered our election commitment to put the issue to the Australian people. The Australian people overwhelmingly voted for change, and I think any Australian would recognise that the events in the Parliament last December legislating for marriage equality was one of the happiest moments we're ever likely to see in this Parliament, and was actually a time when the country came together. So to use that as a critique of the Prime Minister, I'm a little bit flabbergasted about, to be honest.
Are you ready, and would you like the Liberal Party to go to an early election, regardless of how today pans out, to give voters a say in all of this, who are very, very frustrated?
I don't think Australians generally like early elections. The election is not due until the middle of next year, and my preference is that we get on with governing, implementing the policies that are providing momentum in the economy, and that we do go full term.
Okay, so let's wrap up. You're relatively confident that we'll get to the end of the day, Parliament rises, and there'll be no Liberal leadership spill?
Well, I think that whatever happens today, Malcolm Turnbull will still be the Prime Minister at the end of it.
Okay, we'll chase you up on that tomorrow, depending on how today goes. Trent Zimmerman, thank you very much for joining us on News Breakfast.
Thanks, Michael.